Hello, my YouTube family, my new family. Things are going really well with the channel. Please keep the comments up. Like I said, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I love them all. I'm getting a lot of requests. This was actually a request. It's America Dismantles Pirate Nations for touching their boats, the Barbary Wars. This should be really good. I assume this is going to cover like maybe it'll cover like the shores of Tripoli and the Marine Corps hymn. Maybe the Leathernecks, I hope. So I got requests for this one, so this hopefully it involves some Marines and stuff like that. But I'm into all of this. This Fat Electrician does such a good job. I did get some requests for viewing like shows and movies like The Pacific and Hacksaw Ridge. I have not seen either one of those. Most of the newer war films and stuff like that I've purposely avoided for various reasons. Some of them are too gritty and some of them just aren't realistic enough for me, so I'll get frustrated watching them. So if you have any suggestions about anything good or something you'd like me to react to, I would love to watch any of that stuff with you. It'd be I'm just having such a great time. But like I said, please like, subscribe, leave some comments. Definitely subscribe to the Fat Electrician. He's doing an excellent job, and I love reacting to his stuff. So here we go.
Ah yes, that time that pirates kept messing with American ships, so George Washington founded the United States Navy to do something about it. Yeah, nice. The United States Navy was founded for the sole reason of hunting pirates. Today we're talking about the Barbary Wars. Ladies and gentlemen, it is pretty much an ongoing internet joke that you do not mess with America's boats, you know, because of Operation Praying Mantis, that time that America decided they were going to sink half of Iran's navy in like 8 hours.
It was a great story.
And Vietnam, and World War II, and World War I, and the Spanish-American War, and the War of 1812. I guess if you're not picking up what I'm putting down, I'm trying to tell you, this is the origin story of why you don't mess with America's boats. But first, a word from our sponsor, because this video is brought to you by my favorite underwear company, Sheath. Wait, hold on, I'm supposed to read a script for this one. Here's how to do a perfect ad read for our company. Let's take a quick second to thank our favorite sponsor for today's show, which is Sheath Underwear. Sheath makes the most comfortable boxer briefs ever worn, and Clarence's parents have a real good marriage. This shit's fucking lame. Okay, look, here's the deal. Whether you're talking to a veteran, a construction worker, or your dad, they're all gonna tell you that there's one universal truth to life, and that truth is that cargo pockets are fucking awesome.
Goddamn right.
Not very fashionable,
cargo shorts are cool, wait till you try cargo underwear, except the cargo pocket is made with balls not being stuck to your thigh technology. And I know what you're thinking, but chubby electron guy, what if I try them out and I don't like it? Cool, just wear them like normal underwear and then you have a bonus cargo pocket. Nobody in the history of mankind has ever been like, damn it, I have too many available cargo pockets. It's never happened.
Cargo shorts are not even cute at all.
First of all, cargo shorts are awesome. They always have been. Second of all, you know what you and this cargo pocket have in common?
You don't feel either of us?
Oh, damn. That's cool he gets his wife involved. That's love, y'all.
Well, at least I know who I'm not letting put their phone in my pocket next time we go somewhere. Anyways, if you wanted to try some Sheath cargo underwear for yourself or buy some as a gift for your significant other, I'll have them linked in the description down below, and you can use the discount code Fat Electrician for 20% off. Back to the video. All right, here's the deal. For 3 centuries, pirates from the Barbary states of Morocco, Algiers, Tunis, and Tripoli would raid merchant vessels in the Mediterranean, steal all the goods, and imprison and turn all of the crew members into slaves. So why was this allowed to go on for over 300 years? Well, the only navies powerful enough to stop these pirates at the time were the Spanish, the French, and the British. And they all came to the same conclusion that it would be cheaper to pay off the pirates, giving them a yearly tribute to not raid their ships rather than go to war with them. So now those 3 empires aren't getting their ships raided, which is fine, that's a good thing, I guess, but here's the catch with it that they may or may not have known at the time, but they definitely figured out somewhere along the way. Now, the pirates are only raiding all the smaller nations, okay? It's like Walmart, Target, and Amazon getting together, encouraging shoplifting, knowing that they can shoulder the financial burden, but it puts all the other mom and pop stores out of business, and they become the only ones selling goods. Except instead of retail stores,
like it really
we're talking
is
about entire nations.
Now.
This goes on for literally hundreds of years, but America is still part of the British Empire, so they fall under their umbrella of protection, so it's never an issue. That is until the American Revolution started on April 19th, 1775, with the shot heard around the world, the Battle of Lexington and Concord, and the famous story of a 78-year-old veteran going out into his front yard and shooting 3 redcoats as they retreated back to Boston, sending the message for all of America that the British Empire should get off of our lawn. Fast forward 1783.
So just so you know, 1775, I know was the inception of the Marine Corps. Pretty sure it was the Navy, probably the Army, maybe even before that. So most of our military forces were established before we were an actual nation. 'Cause remember, that was 1776.
America wins the Revolutionary War, officially becoming its own country, and all of America's merchant vessels start flying the old red, white, and blue. And pretty much immediately, 1784, one of America's merchant vessels is captured by Barbary pirates from the country of Morocco.
Naturally.
As an act of good faith for a new nation, Spain actually pays off the pirates, gets the American vessel and all of its crew back, returns it to
nice
America, and then advises the American government, hey, you guys should start paying these guys off too. That's what all the big nations are doing. At which point, America's minister to France, a guy by the name of Thomas Jefferson, chimes in and he's like, no, absolutely not. I'm going to go talk to him.
Good for
now,
you.
obviously, I'm paraphrasing here, but basically, Thomas Jefferson rolls up and he's like, hey, don't ever fuck with my boats ever again or else. At which point, the Sultan of Morocco
so
is
maybe
like,
he started
I'm
it.
sorry, who are you? I'm Thomas Jefferson, one of the founding fathers of America. You know, we just kicked the British out of our entire country. We're our own thing now. I'm sorry, you fucking pilgrims did what now? We beat the British in war, and now we are our own country. You mean to tell me that a bunch of colonial farmers with muskets went toe-to-toe with the largest military on the planet that is so good at war that they can literally wear high-vis red coats the entire time and still win, and you beat them? Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Stand in a straight line in front of everybody.
I could probably just leave your boats alone from now on. That historically seems like it's going to be a really good idea. And that is the story of how Morocco came to be the first country to recognize America as its own sovereign nation by signing the Moroccan-American Treaty of Peace and Friendship,
That's beautiful.
which is the first and longest-lasting peace treaty in American history. At which point, Thomas Jefferson is like, wow, that actually worked out perfect. I'm going to go to the other 3 Barbary states and tell them the same thing now. But of course, there's going to be a catch with that. You see, there's 4 Barbary states, but Morocco's the only one that's actually truly independent, and the other 3 are just subservient branches of the Ottoman Empire. So Thomas Jefferson and John Adams go to talk to the ambassador of Tripoli, and they're like, hey, can all the Ottoman Barbary states leave our boats alone? At which point the ambassador informs them, absolutely not. You see, we're part of the Ottoman Empire. We don't need to listen to you. We're not scared of you guys. And it is our official stance that, and I quote, it was written in the Quran that all nations which had not acknowledged the Prophet were sinners, who it was the right and duty of the faithful to plunder and enslave. You know, unless they give us money, of course. Everything's got a price.
We're at Dave's Hot Chicken, and we're going to try the Dave's cauliflower not chicken.
Apparently. So Thomas Jefferson.
So usually, like, most of these nations, they come up with some underlying like manifest destiny and all these other reasonings to kind of do whatever the hell they want to. So that's pretty common.
Jefferson is like, well, okay, we're going to war then. And that's when John Adams is like, whoa, 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 calm down. Let's just pay the tribute so that our ships can be fine. We already disbanded the Continental Navy after winning the Revolutionary War. We don't have a navy to fight these guys. We just have to give them the money. So that's what happened. For the next 8 to 10 years, America would pay tribute every year to these 3 remaining Barbary states, and every year they wanted more and more money, and eventually even that wasn't enough, because Algiers began attacking American vessels anyways. Okay, if you're not picking up what I'm putting down, I'm trying to tell you that for the first time in American history, somebody has fucked with one of America's boats, and they're not immediately sorry about it. Yet. The president at the time, George Washington, goes to Congress and pretty much tells them what's going to happen, because at this point in time, George Washington is basically the king of America. Nobody actually knows if he's going to step down from presidency or not. So he's like, hey, guess what? You guys are going to pass the Naval Act of 1794, establishing the United States Navy. And at the very top of that document, it very clearly states
to make a dope-ass
that the
navy.
purpose we are building
Imagine
the
if those
United
are
States
his words.
Navy is so that we can combat Algerine corsairs, which is just a fancy word for state-funded pirates. Yes, I'm telling you that the founding document of the most powerful navy the world has ever seen, at the top, specifically states the sole reason for their creation is to hunt down and destroy pirates that had the audacity to fuck with one of America's ships.
Listen, that's pretty funny that he's saying that, considering things that are happening recently. Yeah.
Capacity to fuck with one of America's ships. We've officially entered the find out portion of the story. America immediately commissions the building of 6 enormous frigates covered in guns to go fight these pirates. Fast forward to when the frigates are done, it takes a couple years. It is now 1798, and George Washington has decided to step down from power, allowing for an election to happen, and we are now into the second president of America, John Adams. And
just so you know, he didn't have to do that. That was like, he could have been like an emperor of the United States, so he established that precedent. So
John Adams decides he would rather keep paying tribute.
Disappointed!
America just created the Navy, spent $1 million creating all these frigates, and now John Adams isn't going to use them for
John's
their
acting like a
intended
pussy.
purpose. Obviously, a lot
He
of
might
people
have his
are upset,
reasons.
including his own vice president, Thomas Jefferson. So Thomas Jefferson, the vice president at the time, immediately begins campaigning to run against the sitting president in the next election. And one
that'd
of
be
his biggest
sick.
platforms is that he is going to go fight these pirates rather than pay them tribute. And his slogan for this is, and I quote, "Millions in defense before a cent
I've
in
heard
tribute."
this.
Okay, just so we're
I've
clear,
heard this. I
Thomas
remember that from
Jefferson's
history class.
platform for running for president is, I'm going to spend millions of dollars in defense, which might as well be hundreds of billions of dollars at that point, because America no longer negotiates with terrorists, and I'm pretty sure my
Another
high school
precedent,
English teacher
yeah.
would refer to this as
That's awesome.
foreshadowing.
Cool.
So Thomas Jefferson wins the election. The
Beautiful.
entire world finds out that he's going to be the third president of the United States of America, and then on March 4th, 1801, the day of his inauguration, he receives a letter from Yusuf Karmanali, the Pasha of Tripoli. If you don't know, Pasha is like the dictator, the king, the president, the main dude in charge.
main dude,
and at this
yeah.
point, Thomas Jefferson, the guy who just ran an entire presidential campaign on, I'm going to go fight pirates, is thinking in his head, like, maybe this guy found out that I'm about to send a navy over there to beat him up, and he's going to send an apology. Maybe he wants to sign a peace treaty like Morocco did. This is already working out great. I might not even have to send my navy over there. He opens the letter, and Pasha Yusuf Karmanali has decided that he is going to poke the Pilgrim King because he is now demanding that because of the new administration, the United States owes him an extra $225,000 in tribute. And Thomas Jefferson is pissed.
You're trying to get crazy with it.
Originally, Thomas
How much
Jefferson
money is
was gonna
that
have to
today?
go to Congress, get permission to activate the Navy to send them over there to fight these pirates, but not now. He's so mad we're activating the Rainbow Shortcut to ass-whooping land, and Pasha Yusuf is going to have some consequences immediately because he's sending the Navy today. But like I said, it takes a literal act of Congress to send the U.S. Navy over
Okay.
there on a military mission. So
Right.
Thomas Jefferson is like, that's fine. We just won't send them on a military mission. Fill up one of our frigates with a bunch of gifts and peace offerings for Pasha Yusuf, and then give it a nice, healthy escort of other frigates to defend it, and send them on their merry way to deliver the gifts. Right after...
Oh, wait, hold on. This is changing a little bit. I feel like this is the feeling that this is gonna be similar to Operation Praying Mantis when they sent those A6s to look at the frigate. They're gonna poke the bear a little bit here. That's what I'm guessing.
After he gives the commander of the United States Navy the standing order that he is also to defend any American citizen or ship from any potential aggression.
Okay, there's your loophole.
Not aggression, potential aggression.
That's why
If
it
he
says
thinks that
potential on
somebody else might be thinking about doing something aggressive.
Okay,
Take them out. Take them down. Do your...
right on. Independence Day.
Do your
Nice.
stuff.
So the Navy sets sail. They're gone. They're en route. Thomas Jefferson's sitting in his office, and he comes to the
Experience medieval times, a world of excitement,
Cool restaurant.
adventure, and wonder.
They make you eat with your hands.
realization, man, I'm pretty sure these pirates are going to attack him, but if they don't, they're actually going to end up giving Pasha What's-His-Nuts a bunch of these gifts, and I can't have it. So he whips out the old quill and parchment, he writes a letter back, and sends that off, and that letter basically reads, hey, America's done giving you tribute for the rest of forever, F off. And
Just the
obviously
fuck
the
you
letter
letter.
makes it there first, at which point Pasha goes to the American consulate building and chops down the flagpole with the American flag on it, which in that part of the world is how you declare war. So the U.S. Navy shows up off the coast of the Barbary States. The pirates
we go.
attack them because they've already declared war. The U.S. Navy defends themselves. Word gets back to America. Congress then is like, oh, hey, we're at war. We're going to go ahead and give Thomas Jefferson permission to use the United States
Here we
Marine
go.
Corps at his
Looking for the
discretion.
excuse.
And this is why, to this day, the United States Marine Corps is the only branch of the U.S. military that can be sent and deployed anywhere in the world without congressional approval. So for the...
Okay. So I think I heard that part before too. This is I think we definitely talked about this a little bit in training and in some of my history classes. That's how Vietnam got started. We sent the Marines, and then all hell broke loose, and then everything else happened. So
The next 2 years, the U.S. Navy and the Marine Corps set up a naval blockade and just go on a pirate hunting extravaganza until October of 1803, when the USS Philadelphia would get hung up on an uncharted reef right off the coast of Tripoli. The pirates seize this opportunity, they attack the USS Philadelphia, board it, take the crew hostage, and then over the next couple months, they were able to repair it enough to get it back into the harbor at Tripoli, where they then anchored it in place and used it as fixed artillery because it had way more guns than any other vessel they had.
That's not going to fly.
First main character, Stephen Decatur, the commander of the USS Enterprise, America's unofficial flagship. He decides that
the Enterprise, nice,
armor,
cool.
take the USS Enterprise out and acquire himself a pirate ship, which he does. He then takes that pirate ship and the USS Enterprise and sails both of them to Sicily, where he hires 5 Sicilian mercenaries that know how to speak Arabic.
Okay.
They then sail back to Tripoli, where
plan.
Decatur and 80 Marines are going to go below deck of this pirate ship, which has now been christened the USS Intrepid, as the 5 mercenaries are going to sail directly into the heart of the harbor, pretending to be Barbary pirates. They then go directly to the USS Philadelphia. 80 Marines and Stephen Decatur run out, kill the entire crew of pirates that are on the USS Philadelphia, and reclaim it. Unfortunately, the USS Philadelphia is too damaged to actually be used as a ship ever again, at which point Stephen Decatur decides, fine, we're just going to burn the entire thing to the ground, because if we can't have it, nobody can. Deprive the enemy of nice things. I'm pretty sure Sun Tzu said that. So that's...
Yeah, that's kind of a common theme, like in all warfare. If we can't use it, we're not going to let you use it, so we're just going to take care of it.
Deprive the enemy of nice things. I'm pretty sure Sun Tzu said that. So that's exactly what they do. They light the USS Philadelphia on fire, they're positive it can't be put out, and then they bounce. Not a single American is injured, and Stephen Decatur is hailed a hero because he has now led what is, in my opinion, America's first special operations mission. So now that that's taken care of, the problem at hand is that the crew of the USS Philadelphia is still being held hostage by the Barbary pirates, and they want a ton of money in exchange for them back. However, America no longer negotiates with terrorists, and that's not an option. Cue our next 2 main characters, William Eaton and Presley O'Bannon. And before you ask, yes, Presley O'Bannon, as in the USS
that
O'Bannon, the Fletcher-class destroyer from World War II that sank a Japanese submarine with potatoes. So they go in and they pitch their idea of how they're going to get the crew of the USS Philadelphia back, and it is, by every definition, a special operations mission. Basically, they want to take themselves, 2 dudes, plus 6 Marines for a total of 8 guys, and they're going to get dropped off in Egypt, because in Egypt is Yusuf Karmali's brother that is living in exile because Yusuf kicked him out because he is technically the rightful heir of Tripoli. So they're going to get that guy and all the buddies that are loyal to him, like 500 men, and then they're going to march them through the desert to Derna, where they are then going to use them to fight and take over the city and exchange the city for the crew of the USS Philadelphia.
This sounds familiar.
And upon hearing this ridiculous plan, the U.S. military leadership is like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You want to take a small contingency of men, be dropped off in a foreign country, meet up with a rebel leader who already has a bunch of men, and then convince him that you're going to help him overthrow a current dictator, and then he can be the new dictator, and basically we're using other people to fight other people that we don't like to benefit us. And Presley O'Bannon and Eaton are like, yeah, that's pretty much exactly it. And the government is like, this is a terrific idea. I mean, we're probably never ever going to do anything like this ever again. We're not going to have an entire branch of special forces that specializes in it. Sorry, anyways, that's exactly what they do.
Listen, this kind of doctrine got so bad, us installing leadership in countries that, like in Vietnam, it was like the regime of the month club. Like we literally put a new leader in there every 2 months or so. Even to the point where we put a general in there who has a famous picture just offing a guy, shooting him right in the head in the street. So this is... Yeah, this
ever again, and we're not going to have an entire branch of special forces that specializes in it. Sorry, anyways, that's exactly what they do. They get dropped off in Egypt, they track down Hamet, they're like, hey, you want to go overthrow your brother? Cool, grab your guys, let's go. Somewhere along the way, the Marines also picked up 50 Greek mercenaries as they all began marching 500 miles through the Libyan desert to get back to the Neapolitan coast. And this march through the desert takes 50 days, and it is a complete shit show because somewhere along the way, they start running low on supplies, and they have to start rationing. And then some people get mad. There's accusations because the Greek guys are Christian, Hamet's guys are Muslims. There's fighting amongst themselves, and there's these 8 Marines standing in the middle, desperately trying to keep them from killing each other as they march through the desert. So despite multiple mutiny attempts and a ton of fights, the Marines were able to keep this group together enough to make it through the Libyan desert till they arrived at the coastal city of Bamba. Once
So
they
there's
get there,
a
they
common
meet up with
enemy,
the
right?
USS Argus that gives them a bunch of supplies so they can start eating food again, and they give enough money to pay off the Greek mercenaries. Then Eaton decides that he's going to send a letter over to the governor of Derna right next door, because remember, we can't attack unless they're potentially aggressive. Okay, so he sends a letter and is basically
we
like,
know how
hey,
to handle
I'm
that.
gonna march my army through the middle of your town to go kill your boss on my way to Tripoli. Can I have some safe passage and maybe some food? The governor of Derna sends a letter back that says, my head or yours, which sounds potentially aggressive enough. So they begin making the plan for the ground attack. Hamet and his men are going to take the governor's palace, and the Marines and the Greek mercenaries are going to take out the harbor fortress. But to do that, they're going to need a cannon from the USS Argus, so they're going to meet up with it, go get this cannon, and prepare for their attack. Cut back to Stephen Decatur. While all this has been happening, there's still been a naval battle in the Mediterranean the entire time, and Stephen Decatur is on an absolute rampage, because after he captured his first pirate ship, he would receive word that his brother, James Decatur, had been mortally wounded by one of the pirate ship's captains, who was pretending to surrender before shooting his younger brother. Upon hearing this, Decatur immediately gives command of the new captured vessel to one of his men, leaves a couple guys with him, and takes off to track down this pirate ship
on
that
a
just
mission.
killed his brother. So they chase down this pirate ship, they pull up right next to it, and before the crew has time to do any boarding procedures, you know, like break out the planks, tie some ropes to the other ship, all that stuff you see in the movies, nah. Stephen Decatur jumps into the enemy ship and starts killing pirates immediately.
He was on it. He wanted
seeing that
blood.
happen, they're like, oh shit, we're doing this. So they jump onto the pirate ship too and start throwing down. At which point, the pirate ship veers off and breaks away from Decatur's ship.
No ropes on it.
9 Marines and Stephen Decatur versus over 30 pirates
It's on,
this
it's on,
vessel.
it's on.
And 30 is not going to be enough. Stephen Decatur kills multiple pirates.
Oh shit,
including
they're wrecking
the
these
captain
guys.
that had slain his brother, officially avenging his brother's death.
Beautiful.
Capturing that vessel as
Nice.
well. But he is still absolutely furious that his brother died, and he continues to go on a rampage, capturing another pirate ship and destroying 3 more over the coming weeks.
Look at the way they look at the
men on
pirates, it's
ground.
funny.
Eaton and O'Bannon have been getting their battle plan ready this entire time. They just had their men go get a cannon off the USS Argus because they really need this cannon if they're going to be able to pull off this mission. So they're ready to attack. The U.S. Navy gets into formation, and they are going to bombard the entire city of Derna while they launch this attack. Despite that, there's over 2,000 men loyal to Pasha Yusuf that are going to defend it, and they are heavily outnumbered.
2,000?
So Navy starts bombarding the shore. Hamet and his men take off to go attack the governor's palace, and Eaton, O'Bannon, the Marines, and the Greek mercenaries begin launching their attack on the harbor fortress. They open up with the initial cannon fire, which is going to be vital to be able to break through the enemy lines and establish their foothold. They fire the cannon. As they go to reload and fire it again, they realize that they had accidentally forgot to take the ramrod out of the cannon and shot that at the enemy too. Now the cannon's completely out, and they're kind of like, oh shit, what do we do? What do we do? And Presley O'Bannon,
what kind of damage did that ramrod do?
As the other Marines follow behind him and the Greek mercenaries behind them. They attack so quickly and so violently that they're able to overrun the entire enemy fortress before anybody really knows what's going on. And Presley O'Bannon becomes the first American ever to raise the Star-Spangled Banner over a foreign battlefield.
Cool.
This battle, the taking of the Tripolitan coastal city
the shores of Tripoli.
in Marine Corps history.
This is
in
it.
the Marine Corps hymn with the line from the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli. And it is also where the Marine Corps would get their first nickname ever, because the 7 Marines present for this battle fought so hard and so violently that they simply became known as the Leathernecks, referring to the leather collar that they wore around their neck to protect it from slashes from pirate swords. So Yusuf's men...
This is one of the first things I heard about the Marines before I joined the Marines. I had a friend who he was a couple years ahead of me, and he was stationed in Hawaii, and I remember him telling me this about the Marines before he actually shipped off. So this is one of the first things I heard. It was so motivating to hear.
End up getting beaten back in her forced retreat to Tripoli, at which point the Marines, the Greeks, and Hamet and his men all consolidate, figure out what happened. Hamet and his men were able to take over the governor's palace, and after the taking of the city of Derna, Hamet awards his very own sword to Presley O'Bannon as a gift for how valiantly he fought in battle. And this is the Mameluke sword, the same sword that is on the Marine Corps uniform.
That's right. Look at that guy.
So now Yusuf consolidates his military, sends an enormous army back to Derna to try to take take it back
uniform.
over,
You
and
can't,
they're kind of
you
just
can't
sitting
deny
on the
that.
outskirts of the city, waiting for the right moment to attack. Eaton and O'Bannon are writing correspondence to the U.S. military in the chain of command, like, hey, we took this entire city with like 8 Marines, give us some reinforcements, we're gonna go take Tripoli next, and then we'll just overthrow this entire country. This goes on for over a month, and they defend the city multiple times from attacks from Yusuf's men, and eventually Eaton receives a letter informing him that he is to stand down and just leave, because American diplomat Tobias Locke has struck up a deal with Yusuf Karmanali. And apparently
Right.
he struck up this deal with absolutely nobody's permission, because the deal is America is going to pay Yusuf Karmanali, the Pirate King, $60,000, and in exchange we are going to receive the USS Philadelphia back, as well as a peace treaty that they are going to leave American ships alone from now on. So yeah, everybody's pretty pissed off about it.
Pussy
From Thomas
shit.
Jefferson, Presley O'Bannon, William Eaton, Stephen
Right.
Decatur, they're all furious that we are now giving $60,000 to this pirate king.
Should've cut
as
his fucking
opposed
head
to
off.
overthrowing the entire city of Tripoli, or at a minimum using the fact that they're holding Derna and use that as leverage to exchange. But whatever, the war's over, I guess. For now.
All right, what's about to happen?
So the peace treaties were signed in 1805. Now, fast forward 7 years, 1812, the War of 1812
War of
happens.
1812.
Okay, if you don't know, the War of 1812, there's more to it than this, but the reason that it started is that Great Britain wanted to have more control over the seas and trade because America was getting too much, because America was no longer getting attacked by pirates because we just beat them in a war now too. So,
Okay.
Great Britain launches another war against America. During this war, they encourage the Barbary pirates to start attacking American vessels again. And honestly, it works out pretty good for the pirates, at least for a little while, because the American Navy is too busy to worry about them because their hands are full with the British Navy. Fast forward 2 years, 8 months later, the War of 1812 ends. Now, luckily for the Barbary pirates, Thomas Jefferson is no longer president at this point. We are on to America's 4th president. Let me check my notes here. James Madison. If you don't know, James Madison is one half of what is referred to as the Forefathers dynamic duo, and the other half is his best friend of all time, Thomas Jefferson. I don't know if you figured
You know where
this
this
out
is
yet at
going,
this point in
yeah.
the story, but Thomas Jefferson
Hates
pirates.
motherfucking pirates,
So sitting
yeah.
President James Madison, being the homie that he is, looks over at now Commodore Stephen Decatur and says,
Go get him, Tiger.
Oh no, he's a
he
Commodore
then proceeds to
now.
assemble the largest
Oh,
U.S. naval fleet
shit,
ever at
it's
this point
coming.
in time and sails directly to the Barbary
Those
coast.
pirates are about
he
to
then
get-
immediately tracks down Algiers' flagship, the Mashuda, takes it out, captures over 400 members of its crew, and the ship itself. He then proceeds to take all of his gunboats directly to Algiers, park them in the port, and say, here's the deal. You're going to surrender, and you're never going to collect tribute from anyone ever again, or I'm going to overthrow your entire country.
Right.
Obviously, they take the first option, at which point Decatur's like, okay, cool, next order of business. You're also going to pay me back for all the U.S. merchandise that you plundered during the War of
Here we go.
1812. And they're like, okay, here you go. They give it to him. He then proceeds to sail his fleet next door to Tunis and tell them the exact same thing, ordering them to sign a peace treaty, never raid an American vessel again, and then collects a bunch of money. He then sails them next door again to Tripoli and does the exact same thing, collects all this money, gets the peace treaties. The Barbary pirates never mess with America ever again. Decatur and his fleet sail back home, and he tells the government what happened. The American government is blown away at the results that Decatur was able to achieve when asked how he managed to not only get peace treaties without too much violence, but also get a bunch of
Here we
money
go.
and concessions on top of it. All Decatur said was, peace was achieved through the mouth of our cannons, at which point he was given the nickname the Conqueror of the Barbary Pirates.
Pretty
And with
cool.
the rest of the world seeing a new
Pretty
country
cool.
in its infancy stand up for itself against the Barbary pirates and winning, they would start doing it too, and everybody started fighting back and quit paying tribute to the Barbary pirates.
Fuck those guys.
And in the coming years, they would fade into nothing as their 300-year reign of
shit.
terror had
All
come
right.
to an end.
Good
so
deal.
in conclusion, the moral of the story is please, for the love of God,
Don't fuck with our
do
boats.
not mess with America's boats. Thank you for watching. Best way to support
Pretty
the channel is
cool.
to buy some merch over at thefatelectrician.com. Quack bang.
Definitely gonna get something.
Out.
I gotta wear something when I do these reactions, man.
And that is part one of the origin story of how America became the world police.
Oh, well.
Part two ends after the Korean War when NATO gets founded.
Yeah, and even then, even now we're getting involved in all kinds of stuff, you know. At least we haven't jumped headfirst into the Ukraine-Russian war or anything like that. But that's Fat Electrician. It's another beautiful story. Like I said, like, comment, and subscribe if you're still here. It was another great story by him. Another story about the Marines, which is something I love. But let me know if there's anything you want me to see or react to. I love the comments. Thank you.